Leaders without education create bad habits. Follow me. Let's go. Hello, everybody. This is JJ Hardy with Victory Leadership Coaching. I've been told by many people that I have to start calling myself the coach. So this is JJ Hardy, the coach, and I'm here with Steve Martin, and we're doing another episode of the Victory Leaders Lounge. And today we're going to do something a little bit different. And that different thing is we're going to talk about his journey, which, by the way, he's an Army veteran. So, you know, it's a leader's journey from service to business ownership. And we're going to talk about some stuff that he has going on. And the topic of today's live stream / podcast is going to be a veteran story. And it's going to be Steve Martin's story. Steve, you want to introduce yourself to the audience and tell us a little bit about yourself?
Hey, my name is Steve Martin. I'm the owner and CEO of Combat Junk, which is a junk removal, demolition, property maintenance service. We are located in the Triad area of North Carolina, and we've been in business for 4 years. And I'd like to tell you a little bit about my journey and how I got here.
That sounds really, really good. But before we go into your journey, I want to ask you, and you know what, I'll go ahead and type this in as you're telling me, but how do people find you? Is there a social media handle that you have, or maybe if you'd prefer just a phone number that people call? How do people get a hold of you?
So the easiest way to do it is by my website, which is under construction, but it's all there, www.combatjunk.com. I'm on all the social media platforms, and if you search Combat Junk, you'll probably find us. And then we just started a YouTube channel under Combat Junk, so you can find us there too.
And you can see his contact information. I just put it over all of my contact information at the bottom of the screen. So make sure, I'm going to keep that up for most of the call, and I'm going to put it back up again at the end, because as you all know, every single time you see my live stream, though I'm doing this as a way to showcase what I do, I'm more doing this to showcase what other leaders are doing out in the workforce, and not just civilian leaders, but I also interview military leaders. So that's great. So Combat Junk, tell us what Combat Junk is and kind of how you got, where you said you've been in business 4 years. So how you got started and where are you now?
So we started 4 years ago. Basically, going back a little bit further, once I got out of the military, like a lot of people, I was lost. I didn't know what I wanted to do. At first, I just knew that I didn't want anything to do with people, and I didn't want anything to do with uniforms. So I worked night shift at a warehouse in Florida, shipping windows and doors, loading trucks overnight, heavy lifting, nobody around, kind of working by yourself. From that point, I kind of went through a bunch of different jobs. I worked for the Department of Corrections, which I don't recommend for veterans with issues of any kind. Security, this, that, and the other. I worked in IT for a couple of years managing data centers. And then I saw the signs of being laid off when they sold out to a big corporation. So I started doing this on the side because I was looking for something that I could serve and help people. I wanted to help people. I didn't want to be on the customer service side of anything where people are rude and you have to deal with issues. I wanted to be helping people. That's what we're missing. We've been missing that since we left. We have to continue to serve. And the thing that really got me out of my shell and got things working for me was volunteering with Team Rubicon. Team Rubicon is an excellent organization doing disaster response all over the place. I went down after some hurricanes and started volunteering with them. I started from the bottom where you're a grunt, and then I worked my way up and I became a sawyer, which is cutting trees and clearing routes. And then I worked my way up into logistics. So I was doing the logistics of everything. And this really spawned what I'm doing now, because in the leadership role within Team Rubicon, I saw the ins and outs of how everything was working, just like the military, without the excess of what the military brings. We weren't dealing with any of the issues. It was just basically the grunts trying to get it done. So that's their thing, is get it done. So
You mean no
that,
formation, or
right.
getting called up in the middle of the night and having to be at formation in 2 hours, or I could go on and on and on.
Oh, exactly. Exactly. That it was all about getting stuff done and helping people. They were going out and doing this for free. You know, they call it a muck out, where they go in after there was a flood and they do all the demolition and gut the whole home of everything that was moldy and wet and tear it out, haul it off, everything. So all of it basically turned into, it started to give me the idea of what I'm doing now. So we do demolition, which we're gutting the interior of homes. Um, we're doing the junk removal. We're working with contractors. We're doing this, that, and the other. So we're the one-stop shop for realtors and property managers and things like that. We can change your door handles. We can fix windows. We can mow your grass. We can pressure wash. We're doing all the little things, but our main focus is junk removal and demolition. So I work with a lot of veteran businesses in the Triad, and I just started my Facebook group called Combat Junk. It's a Facebook group where you can join, and it's other veteran business owners that are networking, especially in the Triad. I know we're all over the place, and I feel free if anyone wants to join. You can, if you own a veteran business, you kind of let me know.
That sounds good. And you know what? I'll make sure that I showcase that at the end as well. That I'll add that to Combat Junk. Putting the name of that Facebook group up there. If you want to, you could send that to me in a private chat or something, and I can put that up there. Otherwise, you can just comment on it below in the chat. But anyway, so 4 years, and it sounds like you have a very large offering in your business. How is that going for you?
It's going good. 4 years ago, it was me and an SUV. I actually got the first demolition job of a shed before I even had a trailer. I booked a job. I just went in just like we do, and I know what I'm doing. I was confident. I did all the things. And then I went on Facebook Marketplace and found me a trailer real quick to get the job done. And then it just kind of grew from there. And now we have 3 trucks. I have 6 employees. I'm working on getting off the truck completely. So I have an operations manager. I'm getting him up to speed. Right now, I'm owner, operator, and CEO. So I'm doing both. I go and do presentations. I've been doing a bunch of podcasts. I'm going out and meeting people and working on the business instead of in the business, which is super important. You have to, as part of growing, be able to step away, but you have to have everything in place first. So I grew exponentially very fast.
That's usually how it goes.
I'm trying to get everything in order. I am really good at operations and logistics.
That's one thing that I can say about the veteran community that we do really, really well, is we have a clear vision and a mission, and we go out, and sometimes we don't necessarily have, we might have our initial plan, but then we go and we execute and we figure out everything else along the way. Because let's just face it, there's no such thing as a plan that when executed ever goes to plan. And so we have a very clear understanding of that because of how many missions we go on and how many times that we've had to just, get down in the trenches and do what we got to do. And so how great is it that you were able to come up with this business idea, find a job, get the equipment, and just go get it done. Most people can't. That's like the stopping point for them. They don't understand, how to take their idea and put it into action. But the one thing that they don't understand is that the action is the most important thing. And sometimes the plan comes as you're executing. What you start doing might not be what you end up doing.
I just got off the phone with the general contractor that I work with. He is also a veteran. He did things opposite. He went through the SBA, he went through the boot camp with the VBOC and all of those things. He got all the planning and everything done first and then started doing the work. And I was talking to him how I did it exactly opposite. I started the work, and then I'm still, after 4 years, figuring out the back office part, which it's really important to hire people that can do the things that you're not good at.
That's true.
So back office, you need to have a tax guy. You need to have, there's 5 big things that you need to have in your pocket. Who are they?
The five big things that you need to have for your support.
Yeah, you need a tax guy.
Yep. An accountant, probably. You need to have that squared away, especially as you scale. When it's just a one-man show, that's not always as important. But as you start to have more moving pieces, that's another one. An HR person.
Mm-hmm.
That's extremely important. I would say that if you don't have it already, sometimes hiring somebody to help you get your systems and processes in place, if you don't understand how to do that, and all that means is helping you bridge the gap between here are all the jobs, here is how I would do it, to now that I have a bunch of people doing it, how do I translate that into a task delivery and tracking system so that I can get other people out there doing it,
right,
and not lose track of the things.
Right, because we're built on 5 pillars: honesty, integrity, trust, respect, and compassion. Those are the 5 biggest things. And the compassion portion I just added that one on a little, like 6 months ago, because we're doing a whole lot of house cleanouts. They're calling us because we go in and we sort everything and we find it a new home, whether it's recycling, donating, resale, some way of keeping things out of the landfill. That's my number one goal and what sets us apart. If you hire the big companies, their $10 an hour employees are going to come in there and they're going to take everything out and they're going to throw it at the dump. Yep. They don't care about the metal. They don't care about no recycling, nothing. I am working on getting with ministries, not Goodwill, ministries, local ministries, the Mission. There's the Next Step Ministries, which does domestic violence sheltering, things like that. So even the toiletries that come out of these houses, if they're unopened, are going somewhere. So that is a big, big, big thing for us. I just got a headquarters. We're working on the sorting facility, and everything is going to come back there and get sorted. I have employees that's all they do.
Okay.
And I'm trying to grow and do all these things at the same time. And it might take us a day later, but my goal is, and people love it when they hear that their parents or whoever we're cleaning out, the stuff is going somewhere. And something that I've started doing recently is connecting with veteran businesses all over the state. So these items are going to go back. I'm working on getting a warehouse. These items are going to go back to the warehouse, and through my connections with veteran advocates and Battleborn Builders and a few other businesses around here, we're going to send stuff. They're building cabins for these veterans, homeless veterans, ones that come out of treatment, whatever. They have nothing. Yep. So I have all this stuff that I'm trying to get to them. So right now we're working on getting warehousing where we can bring the stuff back, and when they call me and need something, I can furnish these tiny houses. I can furnish and get them clothes and get them everything. And it's big things are happening, and they're slowly coming into play where I'm meeting these people. So something we've been doing a lot of is the house cleanouts for veterans. Purple Heart from Korea, Purple Heart, World War II veterans, they're starting to pass away, which is very unfortunate.
Mm-hmm.
But, it's the circle of life. We're getting in there and we're sorting everything. And we're also working with the VFW and some other programs to do like a memorial. I'm figuring out a way to do memorials for them on my YouTube channel. And everything that we sort, we give back to the family. If we find money, we found $5,100 doing a demolition one time. It was a Korean War veteran, and he totally forgot that he did it. So I gave it back to the contractor, who's Jeff McDaniel with Omniverse. I do all his demolition. So I gave it back to the veteran contractor, who in turn gave it back to the family of this Korean War veteran who had a Purple Heart. It's just an amazing thing. And that's all on my YouTube. And I'm getting this channel kicked off. So, our story it's just amazing. And I got to get the word out,
I mean, that you got a heart of gold. Otherwise, you wouldn't be doing all this stuff. And it's not going to be easy to do the things that you have, building cabins for veterans, getting a warehouse so that you can furnish places for veterans and stuff like that. But my goodness, it's not like you're letting that stop you. This is what your mission is, and you're going to go out and do it. But as far as what you're doing right now, I'm just curious, 4 years in, and business building is very, very slow. And I know you're profitable right now, but then that's not the issue. But what are some choke points that you had in the beginning, and maybe some that you're having now that you're in growth mode?
Yeah. So in the beginning, it's finding the work. Now the work is kind of finding me, and I'm doing more social media, and I go and do presentations. I'm on a bunch of vendor programs with different real estate offices. I have really close relationships with a lot of them. Now the growth pains are back office, taxes, and all the things that grunts don't want to deal with.
And you know what? If that's not what you're good at, then why would you? I mean, you brought that up in the beginning of the call. I mean, when you have a business and your goal is to be out there doing other things, and you have you're in demolition and you have a mission to do house clean outs and stuff like that, then why would you be doing that stuff? I mean, you can hire accountants and tax people to make sure that's all squared away. Or, I'll bring up Bobby Jackson, because I wouldn't have met you if you wouldn't have commented on one of his posts. But he's a fractional CFO, and he's a really, really good guy, and he knows what he's doing. So he'd be one guy that could probably, when you got behind on some of those things, help you build all of it up so that you can pass that on to an accountant, and then hopefully you're not screwed up at tax time. But that tax time is always hard when you're a business.
Yeah. So luckily, I've always had a bookkeeper. As soon as I started, I hired like a business manager that was dealing with a lot of the behind the scenes stuff. I had to fire her, and I thought, I can just take over. Don't do that. I do not recommend that. If your strong suit is not bookkeeping and accounting and things like that, tax planning. So the planning and strategy is so important to come up with in the beginning. That is a huge choke point for me right now, because I was too focused on growing my team and getting more trucks and getting more work and doing all the things, but I was slacking and lacking in certain areas.
So how's that going now that you have a manager that you're an operations guy that you're going to be handing all that stuff off to? How's that going?
It's going. It's going. I have really high standards and high expectations, just like most veterans. So if they don't do something exactly how I want it done, I feel like I have to do it. And I'm working on that. I'm working on getting everything in place. I was super slow for every year. Junk removal is cyclic. Every year around the holidays, from November to January, it gets slow. If I would have done planning and strategy before, I would have set aside the money for those 3 months to cover everything. We barely scraped by. We were redlining. I was stressed out and nervous, and just, you have to plan. You have to have a strategy. if you can't do it yourself, you're the choke point.
Yep.
So you have to reach out for help. There's a lot of programs that are free, but there's a lot of programs that it's worth the money to pay for to get the help that you need. Because if you make a mess with that, your job is done. You can be the best at it and you can have all the trucks you want. But if you didn't plan ahead, you're going to be selling off assets or you're going bankrupt.
Yeah.
And so now I'm trying to dig myself out of the hole. Instead of planning and strategy, I decided that it was a great idea to wrap all my trucks and trailers right before I got slow.
Oh, okay.
It was a couple months before we got slow, and I was like, "Oh, it's going to be fine. We're rolling. Everything's great. Got everything wrapped." And then we got slow, and I was like, "Uh-oh, I probably should have had somebody helping me along to plan a little bit better."
Well,
So there's plenty of help out there, but definitely reach out to the people that, whatever you're not good at, you have to seek help.
So one concept that I like to bring up to veterans, because it's very familiar, but sometimes we don't necessarily think about it in this way, especially once I've noticed this in other businesses that I've worked with, that it's a concept that they almost forget, because a business is like a child. I mean, you start it, you grow it from its infancy, and then you hold it really, really close to you.
Yeah.
And, where we came from as veterans, we used the structure of decentralized leadership, which, I'll define it to the audience. I'm sure you know what it is, but it's the idea of trusting your down trace managers to take over certain things from you so that you can spread the decision making out in your organization. And if you can let go of the idea that things need to be done your way and know that there are 5,000 ways to skin a cat, and know that other people can probably get the job done and you might be able to learn from each other along the way, then, your business growth, and not just yours, but any business growth, it'll explode. And then you'll just be making calls to that operations manager saying, "Hey, how's this going? How's this going?"
Yeah.
Oh, it's good? Okay. I don't need anything.
That's where I'm trying to get to right now. A
That's
lot
what
of
you're trying to get to?
a lot of us have that mentality where you don't want to let go. We like control, and I'm learning, because I'm at a point right now where I feel like I'm the choke point. I need to kind of move out of the way and let some other people do it. Let me work on the business and the ideas and the structure and that kind of thing, and let them deal. I really need a virtual assistant that can do my scheduling. I've had a lot of pushback where people called and they got hold of someone else. I had the business manager doing the phones. I had the operations manager doing the phones at different times. People don't like that.
No.
They want to call and talk to me. And I'm not saying that I'm the best and I'm number one, but I can answer their questions, and I have the heart in the business. This is my baby, like you said.
Yep.
No one can do what you do with your business.
And
you can have help.
They shouldn't. Guess
what?
But
their heart's still not in it the same exact way as yours.
Well, and they don't. But the thing is, they don't have the same. They don't have all the risk at stake right now. It's not just you, but it's your customers.
Yeah.
It's your employees. It's the insurance that you got to keep up every month. It's the payments on all the equipment. I mean, nobody else has as much skin in the game as you do. That they're just working.
Yeah.
So they absolutely shouldn't think about things the same way that you do and take it as seriously as you do, because they don't have that kind of skin in the game. But
right. Absolutely.
It's hard to understand that, but if you don't let go, it could turn into your business kind of turning you into a slave for the company.
Right. I've been there for a few years where it was working me.
You know what? When you're in construction or any of the trades, there's such a demand for it that happens very quickly.
Yeah.
As soon as you build up a small name for yourself, your phone will start ringing off the hook.
It comes back to strategy.
Yep.
You have to have a plan.
Yep.
And follow your plan, or else you're going to be with one phone in each hand, and trying to drive at the same time
Oh my
and
gosh.
and do everything, and it's crazy.
Oh man. But you
It,
know
it
what?
can,
The fact that you are where you are now, it speaks volumes. I mean, not everybody, honestly speaking, I'm just going to be honest with you. Not everybody can do what you've done. To be an entrepreneur and a business owner, it takes a different type of mindset because you have so much at stake. When people start, the reason, in my opinion, a lot of these business fails, in my opinion, that is that because when they realize that so much is at stake, and that if they make a mistake, that they could lose it all, and then you
mhm,
have to work your holy living tail off to make it happen. People don't necessarily want to put in all that time. And when you're in the very beginning, I would say the first 5 years, you have to work tirelessly to make sure that all your systems and processes and your customer base and your strategies for customer acquisition and your marketing and all that other stuff is straight. Otherwise, your business isn't going to be able to sustain itself. So good
right.
on you for that, because most people give up pretty fast.
I refuse to give up.
It's not part
I
of our warrior ethos, my friend.
No, it is not. I refuse to give up. I refuse to fail. We've adapted and overcome a whole lot of things that could have been avoided with planning and strategy. Get that done in the beginning. Get everything, systems, processes, everything in place before, or you're going to be scrambling. And that's kind of where I'm at right now, is I'm fixing mistakes from not planning,
And that's
over
going
the
to be
last few years.
that's going to be
Because
constant.
I never thought that it was going to be where I never thought I was going to be where I am right now. Back then, but I was also battling demons back then.
Mm.
So I quit drinking 2 years ago, and that really changed my life, because when I was drinking, I'd get home at 5 o'clock and I was gone. I wouldn't answer my phone. I wouldn't do anything. I was missing appointments because I wouldn't put them in at night. Things like that really, really, really messed me up. And a lot of people battle with different demons, and I've tried to help a lot of veterans along the way, and some of them need more help than I could give them. That 5 o'clock shake come around, and they're like, I got to go."
Yeah,
But
they
they
turn
had
to
to leave
opioids
and
and
go,
alcohol.
do other things. So
Yep.
it was it,
Opioids,
it was a
and
battle,
alcohol.
but
They're an epidemic in this community. And honestly speaking, I went to an event the other day when I was volunteering through ESGR. And that's, by the way, that's an organization that you should probably look into getting involved with, because they serve the currently serving National Guard and Reserve population for all branches of service. But the statistics for people, not even veterans, man, but people in construction, it's terrible. 160 out of every 1,000 people in the construction industry turn to alcohol or opioids.
yeah,
That's a lot.
it's terrible. I mean, I was self-medicating, and really what I was doing is making everything worse.
Yeah.
And I just thought, okay, well, this combat junk is going to replace my job. I was going to go and just make enough money for me. It was just going to be me and whatever. And then I started to get so busy, I had to have a helper. And then I had to have a couple helpers. And then I fractured my back and I had to have more helpers. And, in the beginning, without being organized and without the structure, I had helpers and they weren't good employees. They wanted cash, so my everything was jacked up in the beginning. And I didn't plan, and a lot of that had to do with me being an alcoholic.
Yeah.
I didn't put things in place because I was too worried about what I was going to do at 5 o'clock. You know, I'd work my butt off during the day and do everything I needed to do, but at 5 o'clock, I forget about me. You know, I was in the backyard lighting fires and doing this, that, and the other, and cutting trees down and hanging out. And my wife at the time was like, "When are you coming inside?" You know, my focus was all mixed up. And if I wouldn't have quit drinking, I'd still be there. You know, I wouldn't have grown. I probably would have been out of business. Um, but that's been huge for me.
Well, thank you for sharing that. And, you know, I just have one more question for you. We are just a little bit over 30 minutes, so we'll have to wrap it up here in just
Okay.
a second. But in 4 years, you've had these struggles, first half of that 4 years, but how many employees do you have now?
I have 6 employees right now.
That is amazing. And you're in growth mode. I know that was the initial conversation we had. And
Right.
how wonderful is that?
It's awesome. I love
of these problems you're having are good problems.
They are really good problems. So we're looking at new equipment. We're going to have some roll-offs. We've had a lot of interest in roll-off dumpsters. That's something we're looking into. My trucks are getting old. One of them's got 320,000 miles on it, so that's going to have to be replaced soon. So I'm just trying to, you know, get us to a point where I can do all these things without going into debt. So far, the only truck that I have financed is the one I'm driving right now. It's a 2017. Everything else is paid for. All my dump trailers, my flatbed trailer, my cargo trailer, everything else. So that's another thing that I don't go into debt.
Yeah.
You can get a loan to get you kicked off if you have to, but don't go crazy. There's other companies out here that are doing junk removal. They've got all brand new trucks, all brand new trailers. They're at the landfill and they're like, "Are you guys busy?" I'm like, "I'm busier than I can handle right now. I need to hire more people pretty soon." And they're like, "Oh, I'm slow." And like the big dogs that went into business under someone else, they're going out of business like J. Well, I don't want to drop names, but
Yeah.
some of the big franchises
Yep.
are going out of business because that you have to give them your money.
Royalties. Yeah.
You give them your royalties. You have to wear their uniform. You have to price things like they tell you and do everything. I looked into some of these veteran-owned companies when I started, and I was like, this is not owning your own business.
Nope.
So look, I don't recommend franchises, and you can look up a lot of people that tell you, on a side note, look at Trees of Valor. That's a local company here that's a nonprofit. And they've got some good stuff on Instagram and Facebook.
Okay.
I know we're running out of time. I could talk all day long with you.
Me too. Yeah, me too. No, I know, and we've had a good conversation before. But is there anything in closing that you would like to say to my audience, or well, you're going to be sharing this anyway, so also your audience?
Planning and strategy, and hire the people that can do the things that you're not good at. Those are my biggest things.
I love it. So before I take this banner down, so this company is Combat Junk. Steve Martin's the owner. www.combatjunk.com. And now I'm going to take that down because I want you to see mine. There it is. So you can get a hold of me again, as always, at either Victory Leaders Lounge for my podcast, or you can find me all over the internet if you go into Google and type in #veteran leader trainer, all one word. But if you like this content that we put out today and it resonates with you, like it, subscribe to it, share it, repost it. But more importantly, if you want to chat more about anything we discussed, make sure you comment below so that we can keep the conversation going. That's more important than anything else. And it looks like we lost Steve, but that's okay. Yeah. And thank you for tuning in today. This was Victory Leaders Lounge. You have a good day.